Now, once this is done, I'm going to create the deployment group. See, this has created a deployment group. Once deployment group has been created, we will have to create a code pipeline and we will deploy the application on that specific instance. So here, I'm going to click on this pipeline on the left-hand side, and I'm going to say getting started. Now here on the getting started, I'm going to say create a new pipeline. Now on this create pipeline screen, first we'll have to mention the pipeline name. I'll mention the pipeline as demo pipeline. And for the service role, I'm going to keep the same option, that is new service role. Okay. And here I'll select the option that says allow AWS code pipeline. And for the artifact store and everything, we can specify the default location, or we can specify the custom location. In our scenario, we have the artifacts. So I'll set this artifact store as my bucket that I have created earlier. So I'll select this S3 bucket and I'll click on the next button. Now my source code provider, obviously it's in Amazon S3 bucket. That is where we have uploaded the file. Now for the S3 object key, I'll mention the S3 object key, which we have copied earlier. Sample app underscore linux.zip. Now for the change detection option, I'm going to set it equal to AWS code pipeline. I'll click on the next button. Okay, I'll have to mention the bucket. Now for the build provider, so we can select either code build or Jenkins. So in our scenario, I'm just going to skip it to keep it very simple. So I'm going to skip this build stage for now. I'll just go ahead and deploy it. For the deployment provider, I'm going to select AWS code deploy. And I'll keep the default region, which I'm getting right now. My application name is demo app. And my deployment group that I've created is demo deployment group. And I'll click on the next button. So this here, it says various steps. So step 1, it's a pipeline settings, which says where is my artifacts and my source provider stage, where exactly the source is provided. And we have not mentioned anything for build stage, and we have mentioned the action for deployment stage. Now I'll click on this create pipeline. And once I click on this create pipeline, this is going to complete the creation of this AWS code pipeline, and it will automatically execute this pipeline. So we'll just wait for a few seconds and the pipeline gets initialized. The source will be picked from the Amazon S3 and it will be deployed using AWS code deploy on my EC2 instance. So it has been succeeded. Currently deployment is in progress. So now the deployment stage is in progress right now. Okay. So in the meantime, I'll add the documentation link to the page over here. Perfect. The code has been deployed to my EC2 instances. Now this is amazing, guys. Now let's do one thing. Let's see whether we were successful in deploying or not. I'll come to the tab where I have my EC2 screen open and I'll click on my instances. Here, I'll get my IPv4 DNS. I've got this public IPv4 DNS. I'll copy this link and I'll paste it in my browser and I'll press the enter key. So here, if I paste that public IP address, see, I've got a confirmation from my EC2 instance which says this application was deployed using AWS code deploy, which means what we have done right now is we have created this application. Now, before I summarize this, let me show you the important steps that you need to follow to delete those resources, and then I'll summarize the hands-on activity. So what I can do is first, we will have to delete the code deploy application. In order to do that, so I'll go to the applications and I'll open this application. Once I open that application, and I'm going to say delete application. So this is going to delete the application. Once my application has been deleted, it doesn't stop my EC2 instances. I'll have to come to my instances and I'll have to select the instances and I'll have to terminate my instance. So this will help me to avoid billing. So as part of our hands-on learning journey right now, we have successfully created and launched our own EC2 instance. And then we have performed the SSH into this EC2 instance, and we have installed the code deploy agent to this EC2 instance. We have created the code deploy application as well as the deployment group. And after that, what we have done, we have created the code pipeline and deployed the application on the EC2 instance with the help of code deploy. And we actually tested this by going to the private or public IPv4 address, and we tested whether the application is running or not. So that is what we have done right now in the second hands-on learning journey. Now, what are the other suggested materials that I would recommend for you? So the other suggested materials for the topics of SDLC are: one, you can look into the topics such as Jenkins on AWS. Two, learn how to orchestrate multi-pipeline stages. So currently it's a very simple pipeline which we have considered in our hands-on learning journey. So learn to orchestrate multi-pipeline stages and learn to distinguish storage options on the basis of artifact security classification. And I would recommend you to deep dive into the code or environment dependencies and required resources like code deploy, app spec, code build spec. So these are some of the files that we'll be actually using it to configure our deployment. So just deep dive into these things. Now, when I say deep dive, you'll not be expected to write any app spec or build specs file, guys. Like, you'll be required to just read it. Like, you need to be familiar with as how it would actually look like. And in our learning journey, we have performed the deployment all instance at once. But think about how you can do the similar activity with blue, green, canary, red, black, and how you can think about in implementing it with AWS. So in the examination, you'll not be required to do it everything in a hands-on manner, but you will be tested upon the knowledge whether you are aware of the various capabilities of the AWS. So in order to do that, what you can do is you can start each and every service. And once you start each and every service, you can go ahead and explore it. You can go ahead and explore and try to understand from the official documentation, because since you are appearing for the professional level examination, you're already familiar with the AWS way of asking the question. So I'm sure you're gonna have fun while exploring, and you'll have fun in the examination as well. Now, as we progress in the upcoming learning journey, that is in the tomorrow session, we will deep dive into the configuration management and infrastructure as a code using the AWS Cloud Formation. So that's how we'll be. So we'll be doing the cloud formation. We'll be learning on cloud formation in the next session. And once we complete that cloud formation on the last session, we'll be explaining you and we'll be taking further steps in our learning journey of the certification. All right, guys. So I would request you to complete the feedback form. Post the, like, I'll be here on the call for another 2 minutes. I want you to complete the feedback on the feedback form. Now, in case if you have any questions, please let us know. Please let us know in case if you have any questions, team. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for attending this today's session, and thank you for asking some of the amazing questions today. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. So we'll be meeting at the same time, and please use the same link to join the session. And I'll see you next time, guys. Take care.